Grace and peace, Rev C here. In this video, this is part of our Greek series, Learning to Read New Testament Greek. And in this lesson, we're going to be studying the Greek verbal system. The Greek verbal system, just an overview. And this is going to correlate with chapter 2 of the book that we're using in the class, Learn to Read New Testament Greek by David Allen Black. I'll put a link to it in the description of this video. And if you're interested in joining the free class, drop a comment below and let me know, and we'll get you signed up. So when we look at the verbal system, Greek is a very inflected language. It's what we call inflection, which means there's a change in spelling. The changes form based on the word's role in the sentence. So inflection, that change is going to reflect how that word functions in the sentence. So we're going to look at that. And so a verb, what is a verb? A verb is an action word or a state of being. It portrays action or state of being. It makes an affirmation. But also, a verb is a word that makes a statement about a subject. So for example, I am an apostle. Am is the verb. That's a state of being. I am an apostle. Or a verb can transfer that action to a subject, from the subject to an object. I see an apostle. So then see becomes the verb, and then apostle becomes the direct object. And so in each of those examples, I am an apostle and I see an apostle, that's what we call a clause. And a clause is a group of words forming what we call a sense unit, and it contains a finite verb. Now, what is a finite verb? A finite verb is one that functions. Hey, grace and peace, Brother Stevie. A finite verb is one that functions as the basic verbal element of a clause. So we can say Christ died because died is a finite form of the verb die. We cannot say Christ dying as a complete sentence because dying is a non-finite verb. And so when we look at verbs, finite verbs in Greek have two basic parts. You're going to have a stem and you're going to have an affix or an ending. So the stem is where the meaning is. This is what contains the lexical or the dictionary meaning of the word. Now, the affix is going to tell you how that word forms or how it performs in the sentence. So, for example, the very basic Greek word luo, I loose or I release. I loose or I release. Your stem is lu. Your affix, this is your person. This contains person and number. So this is first person, singular. First person, singular, or I. I loose. I am loosing. So this tells you who, person and number. I. I loose. I loose. Now, in Greek, and this is just an overview. This is an overview of the Greek verbal system, and we'll delve deeper into it as the lessons progress. If you're interested in taking the Greek class, put my email in the chat. Just drop me an email and we'll get you signed up absolutely free. All right. So the Greek verb we're going to look at there's 6 properties. There's 6 properties. And they are tense, or what we call aspect. Now, this is very, very, very important. Because in Greek, when we're dealing with verbs, time is what we call a third string quarterback. So this is aspect, or what kind of action. This is most important when we think about a Greek verb. What kind of action is happening? What's the portrayal? So yes, tense deals with kind of action and time, but time is not the most important thing when we deal with Greek verbs. It's really what kind of action are we looking at? That's what's important. That's what's important with the Greek verb. So you got tense, and then you have mood, which we'll get into. Mood, voice, person, number, and the lexical form, how it is in the dictionary. So when we look at tense, tense is what is better known as action sort, or what kind. I haven't. I like Myron Golden. I think I've seen that video before. I like Myron. And so aspect deals with how is the action accomplished in the writer's mind? How is he portraying the action? And so when we look at that, we have simple, or undefined aspect. Simple or undefined aspect. And what this is, it's like a fuzzy dot. It's just like a little fuzzy dot. It happened. The action happened. It doesn't tell you how it happened. It just happened. Now, this is seen in the future tense and in the aorist tense. Now, aorist is the default setting of verbs in the New Testament. So, like when you're reading the Gospels and stuff, for example, right, and especially in narrative form, it'll say Jesus walked. Jesus walked to the city. It doesn't tell you, he could have walked 5 miles per hour. He could have skipped. It just said he walked. So it's the action happened. It's just an undefined, simple action. The action occurred. There's no reference to progress. It's a snapshot, for example. It's a snapshot of the action. So this is in the future and the aorist tense of the verbs. Then you have continuous, aspect. And this is, the action is ongoing. Usually portrayed like a straight line or dot. The action occurred. It's continuous. It's ongoing. Ongoing. The action is unfolding. Continuous action unfolding. And this is what we see in our present tense, the Greek present tense. And it can be the imperfect tense, but that's in the past. Ongoing action. And then we have the completed aspect. Completed action. Completed or stative. Completive or stative. It happened, but there is continuous ongoing action. It's a state. There's results that are still in effect. That's an LTS. Completed or stative action. This is usually your perfect tense. And usually when the perfect occurs, it's very rich theologically. So when the angel says, he is not here, he is risen, that's in the perfect tense. He rose and he is still risen. He is in a state of risenness, never to die again. Or when Paul says, for by grace we have been saved in Ephesians 2:8. That's in the perfect tense. We were saved in the past, and we're currently saved right now. There's a state that we're looking at. There's results. And so it's very important that tense in Greek is determined by the writer's portrayal of the action and how things happened. So again, we have imperfective aspect, we have holistic, and we have stative. But how did those occur? So that's tense. Greek also, when we're dealing with verbs, we deal with the mood. Mood. Mood is, how is it related to reality? How is this verbal idea related to reality? So you have indicative, I just have to put those in the chat. So we have indicative, imperative, subjunctive, infinitive, and the optative. So we have indicative, imperative, subjunctive, infinitive, optative. And the ones that we'll consider first is going to be indicative and imperative. So the indicative mood is the mood of reality, facts. We're dealing with truthfulness. It happened. Imperative is commands. Imperatives is a command. Subjunctive deals with possibility, uh, contingency. Infinitive is a verbal idea, and it's not really limited to person or number. So to go, to run, things like that. And then the optative is a request or a wish, a prayer. So indicative is what we'll study first. And the indicative mood affirms the reality, the factuality of the action. So we're dealing with reality right now. And then we look at the voice. The voice is who's doing the action. I'm going to put that in the chat. Yes, yes, Steve. Man, this is just kind of an introduction. We go deeper in the class, so if anyone's interested, let us know. So when we deal with the voice is how the speaker chooses to relate the subject of a verb to the action of that verb. So, active voice, the subject does the action. So, John hit the ball. John is the subject, hit is the verb, and the ball is the direct object. So, in that is an active sentence, active voice, because John, the subject, is doing the action. Passive, it was the subject is acted upon. So John was hit. That's passive. John is receiving the action. And then the middle voice is the subject acts on his own behalf. The subject acts on his own behalf. John clothed himself with the jacket. He did it for his own interest. It's like a boomerang effect. So Greek has tense. The Greek verb has a tense. It has mood. It has voice. And then it has person, which we know singular or plural. I mean, first person, second person, third person. And it has number, singular and plural. So those are all things that we look at when we're dealing with a Greek verb. So again, when we look at what it has, go back one. So Greek is going to have tense, which is the kind of action and time, with the kind of action being the most important. Mood, how does it relate to reality? Voice, person, number, and then the lexical form, or the lexical the dictionary form. So just for an example, and we'll be done, and we go over these deeper when we come to the actual verbs. But let's look at the Greek word for to have, or I have. It's the word echo. Echo. Now, normal Greek verbs are going to end in omega. That's first person. I have. So this is I have. So echo, ekes, eke. It's terrible to write with this, just a mouse. Eke. So I have, you have. This is all singular. We, or I mean, this is he. He, she, or it has. So singular, and then plural. Ek. Ekamen. Ekamen is we. Ekate is y'all, you plural. And then ekusen. Ekusen is they. They have. And this is plural. Now, notice ek is your stem. Ek is the stem. Notice ek is the stem. And then we'll have the ending, or there'll be a connecting vowel. So, I, you, he, she, it, we, you plural, they. So we have the person number suffix and the stem. So these, let me change these. The endings tell you person and number. The endings tell you person and number. The meaning of the word is contained in the stem. These are what we call person number suffixes. And if you know English, suffix goes to the end of a word, prefix at the beginning. Those are called affixes. And a big thing, if you do not know English grammar well, you are not going to understand Greek grammar. So if you do not understand English grammar and the concept of verbs, clauses, independent clause, dependent clause, subject, verb, prepositions, interjunctions, conjunctions, if you have trouble with those in English, you're going to struggle with Greek. So you got to get English grammar down first. And that's why we spent, in the first Greek class, we spent the first 2 classes dealing with English grammar. And it's like, why do we got to know this? Because you're not going to understand Greek grammar if you do not understand the English. All right, so that's just an overview of the class of chapter 2 of the book. I'll put the link to the book in the video description. If you're interested in the class, send me an email. Let me know, and we'll get you in the class with us, and you'll just come and learn and study Greek with us. Again, it's absolutely free. The Greek class is absolutely free. Well, this has been Rev C with a quick little chapter 2 overview introduction into learning to read the Greek New Testament. God bless you. God keep you. Stay in the book. And I'll see you in the next video.